8:36 here, Big 550, KTRS. David Stokes is with us. He is the director of all things important at the Show Me Institute. Also does some policy for us. Good morning, David Stokes.
Good morning, McGraw. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, David.
You and I have talked about this from a larger point of view, but you have a personal experience with Uber.
Well, I wrote it in the past couple of weeks. I've taken it a couple times.
Where were you?
So
you were not here in St. Louis.
No, We used the sedan service.
Oh, okay.
The Uber Black.
Yes.
The private sedan car service. We've used that.
Yes.
We've used that twice.
And is it really a black car?
No, it was a nice SUV one time, and the other one was more of just a regular. No, they were SUVs both times. They're both very nice cars.
But this is the more people can go in the car, right? This is the Uber Black is the I thought it was the high end service, like the town car service.
Right, it is the high end service.
Okay.
And I think you're supposed to have still just 4 in the car at any one time.
Gotcha.
I think that law still applies.
Oh.
But it was very nice. It is expensive. It took from our house in U City to Soulard was $55.
Cheaper than a DUI.
Well,
That's right.
right. That's how we look at it. Right. I mean, it's another way to look at it. It's priceless.
Right.
And if you split that up between 4 people.
Well, yeah, splitting up between my wife and I would be tricky there.
Yeah.
But it's pricey. It's great. It's pricey. What I want to just say is that to the Taxi Cab Commission trying to save us from ourselves,
right,
under the guise of public safety, just protecting the taxi cab monopoly that they have. I mean, they've got to let the main Uber system, Uber X as it's called, in, as well as Lyft. They've got to give the consumers of St. Louis more choice, because not only do I want to have the choice of the Uber Black, the private sedan service, for a great car, looks great if I'm going to a special event, I also want Uber X, so I can get to downtown from my house for $25 instead of $55. And it's infuriating to have this taxi cab commission, under the guise of protecting ourselves from ourselves, limiting our competition and limiting who can serve the people of St. Louis.
What's amazing is that New York, Chicago, Scottsdale, Phoenix, these big cities, their taxi cab commissions put up whatever fight, but ultimately lost. So how can this taxi cab commission here in St. Louis still be winning, still being allowing them out?
It's probably because, and I'm gonna guess a little bit here.
Yes.
Probably because when the Taxi Cab Commission was created, it was given perhaps more independent authority than the taxi cab commissions in those other cities have. Whereas maybe the mayors or the mayor, the county executive, people here, they certainly can influence the Taxi Cab Commission.
Right.
But once that commission is up and going and you're confirmed to it, I mean, you do operate independently here, and for some commissions on other areas, there's a lot of good that can come with that independence. Obviously, when you stack a commission with representatives of the current businesses that run it,
right,
and then give them a lot of independence, that's a bad thing, because they're then going to rig the game to favor the current competitors and limit new entrants into the market. So that's exactly what they've done.
Do we know?
Go ahead.
Do we know how vigorously Lyft and Uber are fighting to try to get into this market after everything that happened last year?
Well, I think they're still trying. I mean, the fact that Uber Black is here working, so Uber is doing business here. So I believe they're really trying to expand. I think Lyft would like to be here. They're having similar problems in Kansas City. I mean, of the 2 big cities in this country that are just almost completely blocking people out, it's the 2 Missouri cities. And I've got news for you. The taxi cab industry is not more complicated in Missouri than in the other 49 states. There's not some legitimate reason for this here. Okay, it's because the system we have is not working, and it's limiting the number of new companies that can provide new jobs and offer new services, and limit people like me and 2.5 million other greater St. Louisans who they can hire to get around the city in.
We had a stat a couple weeks ago that in the New York City, in Manhattan, I want to say it was the first time ever that there were more Uber Lyft rides than there were taxi cab rides. Think about that for a second.
It's a very popular service wherever it goes. People want the ability to just call up on that app and bam. I will say this, with the Uber Black Car service, both times we called for it, it got there very, very quickly
yeah.
via the app.
Yeah.
Very fast. They're very nice. look, the cabs are good too. When we took the Uber black car service down to Soulard, we took a cab back from Soulard, and the cab was fine
Right.
and less expensive.
Yeah.
But I want that option. I don't want
Right.
I don't want Uber and Lyft to play by this set of no rules and the current taxi cab industry to keep playing by the overly strict rules. Lower them for everybody to improve the opportunities for all of us.
That's crazy talk.
Right,
This
right.
is crazy talk.
Well, what's crazy
Opportunities
thing is
for
there
all.
are people in the taxi cab industry who think it is crazy talk.
Right.
On the taxi who think you can't possibly just talk to another person and have them give you a ride and give them money. You can't be allowed to do that on your own. Are you crazy?
All right, moving right along. Let's follow up from last week's election items. Anything of note that you found interesting?
Well, I think the results closely followed what we have discussed in the last 2 weeks, which is this fear that cities will now, because if the Max Creek law is tightened up and you're only allowed to get 10 or say 15% of your money from citations,
Right.
our city's going to try and survive by nickel and diming people with little tax increases all around the corners here
Right.
to do that. And that's how they'll try and raise money. And I think it might, because the big property tax increases all went down to defeat in the St. Louis area, and overwhelmingly in both Webster Groves and University City, where for the Webster Grove schools and then University City itself, where there were substantial property tax increases for either schools or roads and parks, they went down to overwhelming defeat. Like, it was a waste of time to put it on the ballot, frankly.
Wow.
They should have had polling. When you're going to lose by 30 points, you should have polling to tell you that, and don't spend the money to put it on the ballot. But you know, they've got a right to put it on the ballot, and voters have a right to say heck no.
So what you think? What does that mean?
But in Kirkwood and Bridgeton, where they had smaller hotel tax increases or
Yeah.
sales tax increases on the ballot, those passed by a wide margin. And I hope you don't have cities looking to say, hey, we can't do it by citations. Let's do it with hotel taxes or fines for your grass being too long, as you brought up
Right.
last week.
Yeah.
Or just every other little nickel and dime citation that's not traffic related. Because you know what? Most of these tiny cities, these cities of 500 or 1,000 that are funding themselves 40, 50% by traffic fines, these cities just need to follow the example of St. George and go away.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's David Stokes, who's bringing it this morning.
You
Just, just in terms of full disclosure, did you drive yourself here, or did you use an Uber black car?
I would love to have the option to take Uber to the McGraw-Millhaven show.
Yes.
But no, I drove my own. I only live about 5 minutes away.
All right. Well, then that's six towns you have to drive through, though.
Yeah,
Practically, how many?
exactly.
It's probably
6
3.
municipalities.
David Stokes, when can we read you? When can we see you?
We've got a lot of information up on all these local tax issues that we've talked about in the past few weeks that people voted on, as well as transportation, be it Uber, Lyft, or tolling, at showmeinstitute.org and on the blog at showmedaily.org.
You doing anything special for opening day?
No, nothing. I may run down, now that you mention it, and I'm reminded that a friend of mine is having a barbecue downtown, I may run down there for lunch.
All right, cool. That's David Stokes, ladies and gentlemen, from
Thanks,
the
McGraw.
Show
Thanks,
Me
Kelly.
Institute. You betcha.
Thank you.